great friends on tap. Both fighters stand ready to go. Rick Humphries checks them out, checks out the GCA, the Global Combat Alliance. They're out here today along with the doc. And here we go right to the middle of the cage, touching gloves, right on top of the Domino's logo. I'm going to tell you, Bakari Fisher looks strong for a 5'6", 155.
Curious to see how much Ramirez times his attacks better. I thought they were good last time, but now that he's had a chance to work on them, let's see if he works behind the jab, if he's going to go for the double, how he sets it up. I think he will. I'm looking to see if his lead foot, look here, okay, watch this. He switched stances now. Now you have one southpaw, now you have one right hand. Look to see who gets lead foot dominance. Whose foot, as they come together, is on the outside. Now he switched back.
Well, I have to say, it seems to me like Fisher keeps switching back and forth, not to keep, or to keep Oscar off balance. This is what happens when you get a couple of guys who don't want to get knocked out and that have been knocked out in the past. They do a little bit of dancing, but once they start to get into the fights here, we'll start to see a little more experience.
I mean, that takedown was pretty telegraphed, and Ramirez did a good job of ripping him off of his hips, getting those double underhooks there. Now driving him to the fence here in front of us.
Oscar Ramirez in the red gloves, Bakari Fisher in the blue gloves, right in front of us along the cage. A little head placement there.
Yeah, good job there by Ramirez. It's not just that you want to do that because it's uncomfortable. It rights their posture, which changes their balance. And when you change their balance, then you can begin to attack them with wrestling. I mean, if you think about it, if you're hunched over, you have one sort of set of balance.
Sure.
If you stand up fully straight, you have another.
A couple of rights to the thigh. Ramirez was trying to send to Bakari. Ramirez working on that thigh, just trying to find an opening. Trying for a takedown here. Maybe we can get somebody to the ground.
He doesn't have the leverage for it. If I'm him, he's got that underhook on that left side. If I'm him, I'm dropping down for a double.
Got to watch holding on to the cage here, too. Ramirez trying to get a little sneaky. Rick Humphries wasn't quite in the right spot to see the left hand. Both fighters just trading blows to the rib cage.
There he goes. Now he's got double unders, but they're not deep.
They've really just kind of walked each other around the cage. Both fighters standing right in front of the red corner. That's got to help Ramirez. If you're standing over there, to be right in front of your coaches.
Yeah, it certainly is a big benefit to be, hearing a soothing and, I don't know if it's calming voice. Usually corner advice is pretty frantic, but a familiar voice anyway.
Now we're getting some arm play here. We try to get down.
Great job getting his hips low. When you have a takedown, whoever hips are lower is going to generally be in a better spot to win any kind of scramble. Ramirez doing a really good job of adjusting down off of the level change that he was initially shown from Fisher.
Hey, look at that. We finally made it through one round of fighting this evening.
Yeah.
Oscar Ramirez fighting out of the red corner. Bakari Fisher, as the seconds make their way in with the stools. That's going to be a tough one for me because they didn't really do a whole lot. I would say that I'm going to have to go with Ramirez just because of the sheer way that he tried to make some moves, do some different things, and kept Bakari Fisher away from him.
Tough round to score, I agree. You could even go 10-10 if you wanted to. I mean, neither guy really had the advantage. You don't always have to pick a 10-9. If you have to pick a 10-9, I'd agree. I'd go Ramirez, but by the slimmest of margins.
Yeah, it just wasn't a very exciting first round, especially not what we've been used to seeing so far since all the fights have ended in the first round that we've been watching. Now, this is what we talked about earlier, though, in the pre-fight talk, is here about the difference in the technique, and guys don't want to get caught. They were caught earlier. They were undefeated. Now they both got one loss and don't want to have that happen again.
I wouldn't call them timid, though. I wonder if the first round was a bit of a feeling out. By the way, it's only 3 minutes. It's not a lot of time to really get a sense of who your opponent is, unless they were, just barnstorming you or something. Both fighters right back to the center of the ring, second round. Here, this scheduled for 3-round fight. Gotta say, it's kind of interesting. Ramirez has been allowed to wear a knee brace. That is a definite advantage when it comes to grappling. Now, if it's a badly injured knee, that's not an advantage, but just want to point that out. If he gets to the point where he's trying triangles or even an arm bar, that's going to make a big difference. Yeah, really haven't ever seen a fighter, now that you point that out, with any type of brace like that. Typically that's a commission issue, or they'll bring it to the attention of the opponent. The opponent can say yay or nay, right? Also for ankle wraps, the same kind of thing. Right. I've seen guys wear them, come out to the cage, and then the guy who they're fighting says, nope, can't get in the cage with those things on. They'll cut them off right there.
Both fighters still standing right on top of the Domino's logo. Oscar Ramirez in the red gloves, Bakari Fisher in the blue gloves. Crowd's starting to get a little restless because of the action. Whoa, that one stung a little.
Yeah, those are clearly having an effect. Okay, so that was so good by Ramirez. I was just about to say, it's one thing to stop the initial takedown burst. It's another to not get pressed against the cage. Once you get pressed there, you can lose a round because you can't quite get your back off the cage, but the judges think, well, you just got pressed against the cage for a round. It wasn't much, but maybe that's enough to take the whole thing. And it's really not. You see him always turning, not trying to get his back all on the fence. I really respect that about Ramirez.
Both guys so strong, don't want to get tossed around, not going to the ground, but those knees to the side of the Ramirez's knee that he keeps driving into the thigh of Fisher and to the knee of Fisher, they're going to pay a price.
You know, if I'm Ramirez, I'm thinking about cross-facing with my right arm to the extent possible and backing out and separating. He's not really going to get that takedown. He doesn't even really need the takedown. What he seems to be working well at is distance.
And he is punishing Fisher's legs. Between the right and the left leg, he's not discriminating against either one. He is crushing them both.
Like that, separating, just like that. Continue to separate. Nicely done. Let's see if he goes right back to it.
Little kick from Fisher, didn't quite phase Ramirez. Those kicks must be stinging Fisher because he doesn't want to have anything to do with those kicks. His legs must be hurting.
I'd like to see Ramirez be a little more clever with it. He's just kind of striking with him. You see that? There's no real setup, and it leaves him open to things like this, like a single leg pickup. Watch to see if Ramirez goes with a Kimura on the other far side arm. Yes, he is. He's going to roll him here with his leg and then try to come out the top. He kind of botched the roll through there.
Good idea. Now he's just ended up in a bad spot.
But I've seen Ramirez's defensive grappling. Look at that, much, much more sound.
Just stands up. It's like he just stood up.
Watch, he might roll for a knee bar here. You can see he's looking for it. You see that?
Yeah.
He's looking for it.
That's the end of round number 2 between Oscar Ramirez and Bakari Fisher. You know, there's a couple of slick moves right there, but I'm going to tell you that punishment that that Ramirez keeps putting on Fisher's legs has got to be taking a toll.
Max Fisher, see what I'm going to say, Max Fisher.
Bakari.
No, I'm talking about Max Kellerman from HBO Boxing. He's got a rule. Who would you like to be when the round is over? That's how you score it. Who would you like to be? I would rather be Ramirez when the round's over. That's an easy way to think about scoring.
Never even really thought about it like that. Because when I get in here and start watching the fights, Luke, I don't want to be either one of those guys after I see some of these fights.
Well, we've had to make a choice. It's like, well, you know.
But you're right. Right now, if I'm in Ramirez's corner, I'm telling him, hey, great job. Keep up the good work. Those legs look like they hurt him. Break down the tree, and then stand on it.
But you know what's interesting to me? It looks like Ramirez is technically more advanced, but Fisher looks a little bit stronger to me. And if that's the case, he doesn't want to end up on bottom, even as good as his scrambling is. He's got 3 minutes. You can't have a lot of mistakes in 3 minutes and expect to win a round.
All right, here we go with the last and final round here of this evening's event between Oscar Ramirez and Bakari Fisher.
Bakari Fisher still breathing through his nose.
Rick Humphries has both fighters go back to the corners. Boom, right here, right, touching gloves, right on top of the Domino's logo. Ramirez in the red gloves, Fisher in the blue gloves.
Yeah, again, nicely done. Making them pay for that, right?
Good knees.
So if they're going to come through and they're going to try and grab your leg, you have to make them think twice about it the next time. These knees up the gut are exactly what he wants to do. And he's got, I think it looks like to me like some version of, yes, double underhooks on that. Yeah, he needs to be careful about any kind of groin strike. Don't want to lose momentum for the punishment he's got here. I love this call. Great job. Double underhook, scoop double. Love it. So smart.
Great takedown by Oscar Ramirez, putting Fisher right up against the cage on his butt. Look at him press up against his whole body up against him, so Fisher has nothing to do.
He's getting hip to hip. If your hips are far away, there's space in between. You could move. There's not the same amount of leverage. If I get hip to hip on you, I'm compressing my space against yours.
Ramirez totally in control of this fight. Fisher on his back. I don't know if Fisher's going to be able to get out of this. It's just Ramirez is too strong.
He had a chance right there, and then Ramirez recognized the problem. With his right arm, Fisher had that underhook that he would need to stand. You can see him kind of fighting for it right there, lost it again. Ramirez has that left arm. He needs to, the one he's battering him with, He needs to make sure he keeps that, doesn't lose that, because as soon as Fisher gets that underhook, he can stand. You want to have an underhook on the same side you have your leg on the outside. You see that?
Yeah.
And that's what he has, or he had for a moment anyway.
Yeah, just punishing the ribs right now of Fisher. Ramirez is on top in the red gloves, just keeping that chin and that forehead right up against the chest and the shoulder of Bakari Fisher. Ramirez looks like he's trying to turn him here to set him up.
You know, look, I got to be honest. If you're Fisher, you have the back against the cage. Wall walk. Do something.
Yeah, get out of that.
Most of the time, guys, when they get here, the opponent on top will turn their head away from the cage so they can't wall walk. Ramirez hasn't done that, giving Fisher an opportunity.
Not sure. Do you think that Fisher's leg is caught down there on the bottom? Maybe he can't get that leg up. Looks like Ramirez has got him tangled.
No, if it is, it's his own fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's his own. That's his own doing.
I see.
He thinks he's holding him there. He's actually holding himself there. Pardon me. Now he's got what's called a lockdown. The lockdown is what you want to do when you're trying to stop someone from passing on you because it's hard to get your leg out. But if you think about something logically, it's called the lockdown. Okay, so you can't pass. But if you're on the bottom, you're holding the guy there on top of you.
And you're not gaining any points.
So unless you have a sick ground game, don't do that.
Yeah, you're losing. Yeah. Oh, just a couple of great elbows from Ramirez with 10 seconds left to go. In this fight, it looks like Fisher's got nothing for him. Ramirez on top. I mean,
strong showing by Ramirez, if you ask me.
Yeah, great job by Ramirez. I think Fisher didn't ever give up. Just looked outmatched to me. Just looked outmatched.
Not physically.
No, yeah.
Physically, he's well muscled, and he had, as we mentioned before the beginning of the round, he was breathing through his nose. Look, we've seen this kid Ramirez before. He's got great technique. Time to go back to the drawing board for Bakari Fisher.
Yeah, and I think once he sees the video of this fight and you go back and you study this, you'll see what you did. And I think if he listens to you, exactly what you were saying, he could have come away a winner with this one.
Look, he didn't get blown out.
No.
He was close. It's just you got one guy who's definitely put in the work. No reason why Bakari Fisher can't.
Both fighters, great fight this evening. Let's go to the call. Oh, Chris isn't ready yet. I'm gonna tell you, when you guys, after a fight like this, I guess I'm just a different person, and I know that MMA is a sport like you were talking about, and it's a very honorable sport, but man, I've been talking S to somebody for so long, and then I'm going to go out and I'm going to get beat up, and then I'm going to shake hands. That's a tough thing for me to follow or swallow sometimes.
You know, it's really interesting to me when you bring that up, because if you go back and you watch something like, let's say, high-level collegiate wrestling, right? Division I, Penn State, Oklahoma State, when those guys lose, they're required to shake hands.
Oh, wow.
But if you ever notice, like, when an MMA fight is over, the guys hug and embrace, like they had a spiritual quest together.
Sure.
You never see that in amateur wrestling. They'll barely touch hands. They won't even look at each other, and then they move on. They just can't stand one another.
All right. Now we're ready for the call from Chris Fuller.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it one time for both these winners. Another great show. All right, after 3 rounds of action, we turn to the judges' scorecards for a decision. Judge A scores the fight 30-27. Judge B scores the fight 30-27. And Judge C scores the fight 30-27. For your winner by unanimous decision, Oscar Ramirez!
Oscar Ramirez comes away the winner. Great job. We knew that was coming because Oscar Ramirez just looked like the total better fighter tonight and just really just outsmarted anything that Fisher could do to him.
And again, I saw him lose to Tucker Lutz. This is a nice rebound performance. You know, he didn't play it safe. He played it smart, but he didn't play it safe. And by safe, I mean, risk averse to a crazy degree or something. He went after it. He took control of that fight. He should be commended for it.
All right, when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we'll continue with Cagezilla 39 from Ashburn, Virginia. Kevin Schaefer, Luke Thomas. We'll be right back right after this.